Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are and whenever you are. Welcome to another episode of the Community Live Stream. My name is Chark Tomasi from ServiceNow. I am the ServiceNow guy with the cool bow tie, coming to you with another episode where I bring you anything and everything I can find in the community that I can help with, that's in my area of expertise. We're putting too many qualifiers on this now, aren't we? It started out sounding really good. And my mission is to share with you whatever information that I can that can help you be more effective in your job as an administrator, as a developer on ServiceNow, and continue doing that. Good morning to I'm going to have a hard time with that one. Jenna, good morning to you. If you are watching this live, thank you very much. We do this on YouTube every business day that I possibly can at 1 p.m. UTC. If you like, subscribe to that channel. If you find something helpful in this video, go ahead and give it a like. Appreciate that very much. If you happen to be on the YouTube chat live right now, give me a shout out. Love to try and pronounce your name and say hello and find out what the weather's like, where you're from. We've got a regular crew that usually shows up that I love to interact with. The discussion is always fun. You get to help. I get to help. We all get to learn. We had an interesting learning experience the other day and continue to dig into and discover what that feature is all about, if it's actually a real thing or not. I still have yet to apologize. I haven't gotten to the developers to find out what's going on with that, but look forward to that. We also simulcast this live on Twitch. If you happen to be watching there, some people prefer that. That's fine with me. It goes out at the same time, same day. The only difference is the Twitch account only has 2 weeks worth of back content, whereas YouTube on the community channel, we have it all. And speaking of the community, if you do have a question, I encourage you to ask that question in the community. You will get more eyeballs on it. It will be easier to search. It'll be easier to reply. It'll be easier to just generally manage, because YouTube is not a system of record. You probably know this already. ServiceNow is a system of record, and our community is run on ServiceNow as of February. Good morning to Prem Kumar. We've got some new names showing up. Thank you very much. It's always nice to see some new names. I'd love to see faces. Maybe we could put faces on those avatars at some point. They're so tiny. Thank you for joining us. This is going to be a lot of fun. I hope that everyone is off to a good start. If this is the start of your day, everybody had a wonderful day. If this is the end of your day, we had a terrific turnout yesterday for TechNow on Guided Tour Designer. Lots of questions. I've got a lot of homework to do to answer those questions. But let's not talk about that yet. Let's make sure to mention that we will be using the developer community site at developer.servicenow, where you can go and get a free personal developer instance running Kingston, our latest software, or Jakarta, if that's your preference, or even Istanbul, if you want to play around with the software that was a year ago, maybe compare features to what you've got today, or use Kingston to explore what you're about to upgrade to. And then hopefully later in Q3, we'll get London on these personal developer instances. So the personal developer instances are just one aspect of going over there. I encourage you to get one, experiment, try things out, learn. There's learning paths available to you, completely free of charge. We want you to get more comfortable with being a ServiceNow developer, be more proficient with it. The complete scripting APIs are over there for server and client and REST APIs, all that good stuff that can help you interact with the system and be more effective, more productive. Technical best practices are documented there, so you don't make mistakes that could cause you performance issues later or upgrade issues. And do the right thing, make your life easier, and you will be a rock star just by going to developer.servicenow.com. Okay, it will take a little bit of time investment. I'm not going to kid you. You don't get magic just by going to a website. Well, this website. I'm not going to say much more about that. I believe we have done all the preliminaries with the tags on the lower third, so without any further hesitation, let's get into... Oh, wait, I did want to mention one other thing. We do have some events that are coming up. We did Guided Tour Designer yesterday. Again, terrific turnout, biggest turnout for a TechNow episode yet. It will be, it was recorded. I will be posting that to the community in the next few days. I need to get the video from our provider, and I need to answer all the questions. Well, Dave Slusher needs to answer many of the questions, but a lot of good questions that need some response. They were just coming in so fast, and I was typing as fast as I could, and I think I managed to get maybe 1 out of every 8 questions answered. So there's about 400 left that I need to respond to, and I will get those up into the community post. So if you didn't get your question answered online and you were part of that discussion yesterday, watch for the community post in the Tech Now episode list. If you just search for Tech Now episode list in the community, you will find that, and I'll have a link to that. So we should be good there. Thanks, Chuck. What is the best way to learn coding? I am new to ServiceNow. Go over to developer.servicenow.com. We'll walk you through the whole thing from building an application, starting with tables and form layout and getting into scripting and REST APIs, the whole 9 yards. It's all laid out for you right there. Good question, and got a easy answer for you. Good morning, Tariq. Or Tariq. I'm going to have to guess on that one. The other one is our developer meetups. Lots of developer meetups. Tonight is June 7th. I forgot to mention that at the beginning of the show. This is Thursday, June 7th, 2018. Of course, it will say that on the show title after I do the post-processing. But for those watching live who didn't know what day it is, or maybe you're watching from, let's see, I think it's still Thursday in Australia. They haven't quite gone over the midnight mark yet. I have to check my international clock app somewhere. But Orlando is coming up next week, as well as Dallas. There's a few coming up the week after. June is going to be a busy month. I will keep my eyes out and update this on a weekly basis so that you know what meetups are in your area. If you are interested in being a ServiceNow developer or you have some developer experience, I encourage you, go find one of these meetups, even if you have to travel for a little bit. It will be well worth it. Obviously, check the agenda to make sure it's on topic for what you're interested in. As with any meetup, you can find all that information on the developer portal, or go to meetup.com and look for ServiceNow meetups, and you'll find them there. So 11 p.m., Carolyn. Are you in Australia? I thought you were in Delaware. Maybe you're visiting. Give me a heads up where you are. If you're moving around, that's not fair. You can't do that. I have mental images of where people are. Or maybe I just never knew. So lots of meetups. You can find that there, again, over at developer.servicenow.com. Okay, on to the community. Let's begin with anything that's new, anything that hasn't been replied to. Let's start with drop-down values on incident form sets to none in the portal. That sounds like an interesting quirk of the portal. I don't know if I can reproduce this or not. Let's see what happens. Hi, ServiceNow enthusiasts. There seems to be a problem with the rendering of drop-down values on a form in a portal. Observation is, make a custom drop-down on the incident table and add values having special characters. Pretty specific. Go to the portal and try creating an incident. Select a value which has the special characters from the custom drop-down field. It will show up on the drop-down field as selected. Save and submit the incident. Observe that the drop-down value selected changes to none. This works absolutely fine with the native incident form. I mentioned about using special characters, but I was not sure if it was causing the problem until I had a thorough check with the values that were working fine in Portal. After this, I concluded that the problem was only with the drop-down values having special characters. Why does this work fine from the native UI and not from Service Portal? That is a very good question. I do not know, and I want to know more. Let's see what people come up with. I'm going to subscribe to that. Can't answer every question. My expertise is not all over the place, but I am willing to learn. Actually, 12 in Kingston, 11 in Delaware, but Google is my friend. Excellent, excellent. Glide modal form V3 to open a request item form to execute request item workflow. I have not played around with glide modal form V3 yet, but let's see what they're up against. This is a pop-up window that you bring up on the new interface. I have a requirement to create a main workflow and sub-workflows modal for the new hire employees, where we are going to share the existing workflows and subflows. Examples of the subflows are order workstation, smartphone, desk phone, etc. These are currently generating service requests independently. Our requirement is to get all of these on a single form. Using an approach that I have created a form that creates a request and options. Okay, this is getting a little lengthy, but why would we not use an order guide? Let me see. Have you thought about using an order guide to do this? So that's what they are designed for. Multiple catalog items as options on one request. Let's give a link to the documentation. I will choose Kingston order guide and copy that link and paste that link in here. Docs order guides. Yes, you have to add sound effects. And away we go. There we are. Ding. Did I hit reply? I didn't hit reply. I just told it to put the link in. So if you're not familiar, an order guide, I think this is in sysadmin class or advanced sysadmin, or no, they call it foundations now. And I don't know what I gotta retrain my brain to align with the new training curriculum. But an order guide is underneath the service catalog. And the classic out-of-the-box example is the new hire. But there are others, and you may create them. And if I look at, let's go to the, still in my date picker app that I built yesterday. It's almost time to wipe this instance and start over. Well, let's do a try it. The idea is that you have a number of items where you say, hey, what do you need? And I say, this is for me. What group is the person joining? You can pick a team, a department, whatever happens to be. I'm going to be part of product management. Will this be a remote employee? Yes, I'm a remote employee. And these options, what office will they report to? I don't. Will your employee need anything non-standard? Yes. Okay. Am I a developer? I'll say I'm in sales. I'm just filling this initial form out. It's in 3 parts, where first you describe the needs, then you choose which options, then you do your final checkout. So once you do that, you move on to choose options. And these are all pretty easy to configure. These are the request items lined up in tabs that I said I need. So I get a standard laptop. Can't choose a Mac, darn. And I give an email address, chuck.tomasi@servicenow.com. Just fill in the request items rather than filling in individual request items, excuse me. An S7, got Note 8, I'd rather have that. And the corporate VPN. And then I go to checkout. So it's got all of these lined up based on the options that I said before. And those are configured through, where's my maintain order guides? Service catalog. Under the service catalog, there are my items, my categories, content items, my order guides. Actually, it was under order guides. That's how I got there. Silly boy. And you define those options as, you fill out this first part. It tells all about that opening screen where you choose your options. You can even put in a graphic just like any other request item. And then you define the rules. So the variables go on the front page, just like a normal request item. And then you say, well, here's a standard laptop, a developer laptop, and I would get a standard laptop, which points to this particular item. So you have to have your items already defined. If standard package is no. So you use the variables from the first page to drive what shows up on the second page. That's what the rules do. And that's how you set up these order guides so that you can, it's almost like a wizard kind of thing. Very easy to do. Wow, lots of replies. I got to look at the chat a little more often. ServiceNow fan, can you speak about MS SQL database catalog discovery and Oracle and MySQL catalog discovery, the relationship between instances catalog servers, please? My knowledge of discovery is a bit rusty on that one, but from what I know, you just need to know the host that's talking to those databases. It's a communication. It's going to discover the host first, or the VM, or wherever it is where you're running the SQL server, and then it's going to use, say, the default port for Oracle. Let's use that as an example, is 1521. Happen to know it off the top of my head, just from historical reasons. You may have changed yours. I think most people recommend changing that number. Company where I used to work with it just added another significant digit, so it was 15210. Anyway, it will, if it finds a process called Oracle, it can then use the TCP connections. When it does part of the exploration, that last phase where it's getting all the detailed discovery done, it will say, oh, I see this host is talking on this port to this IP address, or this whatever it is, and then connects those. That's how it makes the relationship between the host and the app. If you have discovery configured properly, which I believe it does out of the box now, it will find the various instances. I don't know if it goes into catalogs, but I don't know enough about DBA specifics. But you can do that if it's not already set up, and you know the commands, and you've got the Oracle credentials, for example, and you want to send these commands and say, show databases, and you want to get a list of databases within the specific, rather than saying, oh, there's a MySQL server out there. You can then write your own probes and sensors to dig out more information and set up those relationships. That may be useful if you wanted to go to your CMDB and say, oh, here's the Oracle server in a related list or in a relationship. It's going to show it's also got a database on it, or two or three. We used to have multiples that had different port numbers on them. And those have a related list or relationship full of those database instances, schemas, whatever you call them. Again, my lack of DBA knowledge is showing through at this point. Thanks for the subscribe. Thanks for subscribing to my question on the portal dropdown issue. You're very welcome, Arnab. Good morning to Akash. Morning to Steve. I'm not taking attendance and saying you're checking in late. We're having a good time. We're off to an early start, just talking a little bit about order guides. So I don't have an answer for that one, except have you tried order guides? Let's do a quick refresh on this, since I replied to a couple, and probably new ones have come in. Service portal, very generic topic. Let's see what we can get out of this. I want to add a scoped application to service portal. I could only give a direct URL for the scoped application. I could add catalog items to the service portal, but unable to make this scoped application part of the catalog items. Please help. When you modify, it kind of depends. Speaking from the out-of-box example of service portal, let's see if I can type this. I suspect your service portal is in the global scope. You can add widgets or elements to the widgets to point to your custom app, but it must be done in the global scope, because that's where the portal lives. Okay, at some point, e.g., you are putting putting a button on the main page for an emergency change request, you will need a link to that record producer /form /list /whatever. All right, ding. Moving right along. What's next? Go back to the main page, go back to my unreplied. I should be opening these up in a separate tab. Sync to fields. That's always fun. Let's see what happens. What they're asking for. Hello, everyone. I'm looking into writing a business rule to keep the values of two fields in sync. operational status and install status. They are both on the CMDB-CI table. That is true. I'm having a hard time getting to figure out what the best way to do this is. Screenshots below. Okay, we've got absent, in stock, well, operational, non-operational. For example, if operational status changes to non-operational, then install status is absence. This can't be done using the Actions tab. Any suggestions or tips? My first suggestion would be map these out. Don't code anything. My first thought is to make this as data-driven as possible. Don't code more than you have to, and plan for the future. Bang, bang, bang. Okay, create a table that maps the operational status to the install status. Write a business rule that does a lookup on operational status and sets the appropriate install status. Now in the future, when, let's put a comma there, someone changes your options on on either list or wants to change the rules, you simply update the data in the table. No coding necessary, because all the BR does is a simple lookup. All right. And they'll say, I don't know how to do that. Ta-da. Hopefully they don't want this changing in real time. That would add a little complexity to it, but that's all right. Everybody having a good time yet? I know I am. How to add activities filter on approval summarizer default UI macro. I don't think you can. Maybe there might be. Let me look into this. There might be a way to do that. I don't recommend modifying out-of-box UI macros. After upgrading my instance from Istanbul to Kingston, I've noticed that approval summarizer field does not show activities filtered anymore. I didn't realize it did at any one time. I've seen some posts explaining that it can be handled by creating a new custom approval summarizer XXX UI macro, but I didn't know what I need to add in order to show activities filter. Well, my first thing would be to go to UI macros and see if the activity history is one of the macros you can use. Let's see if there's anything that says activity in it. Activity condition, activity designer, activity steps. Activity designer, activity initialize, inputs, outputs, decorate list actions too. Okay, that's all orchestration. So let's say does not contain orchestration. This should be the first field on the form, maps outputs from activities. Sometimes you can find out what macros are used in here. For example, let me go back to this list. And if you're generating UI page or UI macro, this gets back to the jelly stuff we did about 5 years ago. You can, I think it actually starts with UI. You can use some of the UI elements to put a button, a checkbox. I don't see the activity formatter on here. Let me see if history is in there. Nope. Add history context menu. That's an intriguing question. And I can see the value in that. But have you taken a look at the summarizer from Istanbul? Do you still have an Istanbul available to you? Let's see. Do you still have the Istanbul? Let's see if we can spell still, right? Istanbul. Fingers are working wonderfully this morning. Istanbul instance available to you in order to compare the approval summarizers. When in doubt, take a look. Is there a history on that thing? Let's see. Approval something. Approval summarizer default. Approval summarizer. Let's take a look at default. Not going to get deep into the jelly code, but let's see if there is anything in here that shows the activity history. Don't see it. I would hope it would have been here. This stuff looks scary at first. If you want to find out more, you can watch Tech Now episodes 1, 2, and 3. Good morning, Balaji. How to create a report for top 10 incident generators for the last 6 months in performance analytics. Praveen, I'm going to suggest you ask that on the community. Because if I answer it here, no one's ever going to find it again. It will value you and only you, but the part of the community that is extremely valuable is that others get to share, others get to answer. And I don't know off the top of my head how you would find out. You'd have to do an aggregate. When it comes to performance analytics, set up your indicator, do all that good stuff to get that information. I don't know. Would you need performance analytics? Performance analytics is going to give you more of a trend over a time. And that doesn't really seem like it would be the appropriate vehicle. You could get that out of a standard report, I would think. Just do an aggregate on how many incidents a person has created, grouped by the person. That would be... Morning, Chad from Atlanta. Praveen, give me the sysid of the message. So like if I pull this up, it's going to be in the URL. Just give me that last part and I'll see if I can find it for you. And meanwhile, I can play around with that. Is activity formatter in this table, UI formatters? It may very well be in the formatters. I don't think so. Formatters are usually how you place a UI macro on a page, but I can certainly look. Formatters. If it is, it might point us to the macro that's doing that. Activities filtered. Aha. And the formatter is activity XML, which is maybe the UI macro. So let's see if we can find the UI macro called activity. Maybe that's just it. Otherwise, if it's not available in the UI macros, and that is calling a specific one, activity, let's look for activity %. There isn't one called activity. That means it's not available for customers to edit. It's at the, it's on the platform layer somewhere in the file system. Not a problem. You find that sysid, I'm going to keep looking for things. Things to respond to. Maybe we'll get something new. I do have a follow-up question from that came in overnight that I want to respond to in just a little bit. So hopefully we'll get that. He'd help to create field. Hey, we were creating fields a couple days ago. Creating fields that weren't even on the map. I want to create one field in SC rec item table and field name is example details. In these details tab, I want to add all variables data from the catalog, which are used to create the RITM like below. Name of variable 1, name of variable 2. How can I achieve this? I'm not able to visualize what they're after. First, they're talking about a field called details, and then they're talking about a section. I'm not sure I understand what you are after. You are talking about a field details and then a section details. Can you include a screen mock-up of what you would like to see? Picture's worth 1,000 words. And if I'm confused, maybe others are confused and a picture will help, even if I can't. We'll get there. We'll get there. Don't have to know the answer. You just have to know some questions. Let's see. Go to the developer. Hi, a requirement is to create a record in one custom table when work notes are updated on RITM, but the record should be created only when work notes is updated by approver of that particular RITM. Okay, the approver, you could have multiple approvers. That's the trick. If I have 5 approvers, where are they entering the comments? Okay, approvers are I'm a bit confused. Seems to be a theme today. You can have multiple approvers on a particular record. They want to update, want to create a record in one custom table when work notes is updated on an RITM, indicating that any approver making a work note on the RITM. Approvers wouldn't normally have access. Secondly, approvers generally don't have access to work notes. Those require ITIL access out of the box. Do you mean comments? Here, I'll assume you mean additional comments. Are you indicating that any approver making a comment on the associated RITM will generate a record every time they make a comment? That doesn't sound like a lean process at all, in my opinion, but I don't know the underlying requirements. Hey, I made a comment. Here's a record. What are you going to do with that record? What does it mean? What does it do? Is it just a log record? Maybe. Please help me understand a step-by-step breakdown, including table names and field names. Field names would be very helpful. Screenshots even more so. Okay, Chuck, I got access to Discovery on my PDI. I'm in need to give a demo on cloud management application in a new client. So how do I proceed to include AWS Azure devices to dashboard? Akash, that's going to go a little bit beyond the scope of what I do here. I'm not a cloud management expert. I apologize. And the idea here is to help answer questions that are on the community. So if you haven't posted it to the community, I encourage you to do so. If you have, then you're going to have to wait for an answer there from the subject matter experts. Hopefully it's in the ITOM section. I apologize. I'm not an expert enough to give you advice on how to do that. Okay. There's one, asking for more requirements. It seems to be a Ask for Requirements Day. Monthly focus on new incident with text analytics. That's in performance and reporting. How to limit write access to widget in service portal. Write access. I know you can change the way you view it. Chuck, some time ago you spoke of the old links in community. I'm trying to reach articles that are based on serviceportal.io using custom fonts. Is there a way? Serviceportal.io I thought was Nathan Firth's thing. Serviceportal.io brought you to NewRocket. Yes? No? Yeah, brings you to NewRocket. That's, at least I thought it was. Okay, if they've changed their links, if somebody put a link in the community, the links that I was referring to were community.servicenow.com, and they would link to a blog article or a discussion question. and those were internally translated. The external links, there's nothing we can do about. If somebody changes their link on another site, there's no way that the community is going to know that. For example, wiki links. Okay, the wiki links pointed to a specific wiki site. They don't cross-translate to docs. I know there was some effort to do that with the docs site or with the wiki site and have a redirector, but I don't know how robust that redirector is. Wrong tab there. Smiley face survey on email. I think this one's been asked a number of times and there's been some good answers. Oops, I didn't mean to open that in a new window, just a new tab. Wrong key on the keyboard. We have created smiley-based survey on email. Issue challenge we are facing. Names are not coming properly under the smiley in Outlook 2016. The fun of trying to make a universal email message. It might look fine in Outlook, doesn't look good in Gmail. Looks fine in Gmail, doesn't look good in Notes. Trust me, there's 18 billion ways this can be interpreted, and HTML is not universal across email clients, unfortunately. This is getting pretty in depth. Let me see if I can parse it apart real quick. Names are not coming up properly. Names are not coming up properly in Outlook 2016. How satisfied are you? Same can be viewed perfectly when I check from the tool under preview notification in ServiceNow. Is it an alignment thing? It is. It's not centered under. Okay. Are you using divs, tables? Script written for this is if response excellent service, then add a mail to subject number, excellent. Okay, that's just how you're creating links. That doesn't say anything about the formatting. Okay, hovering is also not working in Outlook. Can't do much about what's working in Outlook or not. Outlook is going to be Outlook. Outlook is going to be Outlook. It renders how it wants, when it wants. If you're concerned about the alignment of those labels, you might want to take a look at the HTML that does the formatting. The code snippet you included is all about constructing the links. Let me take another look at that. There did seem to be some HTML in there. I don't know. Text decoration, non-display block, align center. Now you may want to put that rather than putting the alignment in the link. Was that in the link or was it in a div tag? No, it was in the link. It was in the href. In the a tag. Create div tags around it that address the alignment. Or use a table with cells and align there. Keep the links simple and clean for easier maintenance. I can't spell today. Wow, I am just all over the place. Okie doke. Close that. Anything else that's new this morning as we get to about 20 minutes to the hour? Thank you for joining. This is the community live stream where I go through and try and answer questions and give the thought process behind that. Create a new mail on reply to notification. Instead of updating, can we remove the ref message watermark completely from mail sendout? Yes. Where is watermarks? Watermarks are documented. I don't know if you can do it per message. I think you can hide watermarks globally, watermarks on notification emails, omit email if notification watermark. There it is. Under notifications, you can go to advanced view, omit watermark is there. The MSG XXXXX thing is called a watermark. You can omit them globally or per notification using the advanced view. There it is. Highlight that, click, link, paste, boom. Okay. All right. I think I talked about watermarks before, but just in case, let's take a look. Watermarks are that little thing you see on the bottom of a message when it goes out. As you've noticed, there is, I don't know if they have a screenshot in here. Nope. Let's find out where I am in here. Watermarks on notification emails. What it does is puts a unique identifier at the bottom. And so when somebody replies, it associates that watermark with the message. There is actually a table internally that says, hey, I sent this out with MSG 3846157 underscore. Okay, that underscore thing is new, I believe, as of Jakarta for security reasons. It just makes it more unique. You can choose to use it, you can choose not to use it. As we get more customers that are sending mail back and forth to each other's systems, the watermarks sometimes have collision. So you may be replying to or send out a notification based on a story to a project or a release of software you're doing. And somebody else's system gets it and goes, hey, I'm going to update that incident with these comments. And they're totally not related. You wanted to update that story so you can make these more unique. Anyway, the watermark can be omitted if somebody inadvertently does a reply to a message and scraps the old body and puts in their new, it will try to use the subject. So if it's a reply and it doesn't have a watermark, it will use a subject. If it doesn't have the subject, there is a header in the message of itself. You don't see it. It's not from, to, or subject. It's like a x-servicenow-ref or something like that. It will use that as a third fallback. Very, very rare that it ever uses that or needs that. Most people don't even know it's there. But there are 3 different ways we can identify, is this a reply and what does it go with? Why don't we put just incident down here? Because it may not be an incident. It may be something else. This is a generic watermark and we can associate it with any notification, any record that goes out of the system. It's just the way it was designed. There was a detachment made from the actual record number for, I don't know what the rationale behind that was or why it doesn't say the actual record that it says. Interesting historical question. Why do we use a unique identifier? Oh, I think I know. Because you may have, again, that would be even more chance of collision. Think about it. If I see this almost on a weekly basis, somebody says, hey, my records aren't unique. If you are importing information from another system, you may have duplicate incident numbers. Unless, of course, you set the unique flag in the dictionary for that field. Then it would have to be unique. So that counters get out of sync. Maybe, I suspect the message number is handled by the same maintenance. This little encrypted part, the random 20 character string, is totally different though. But if you look under system numbering, that message there's the watermark table. It's under system maintenance number, it's number management. If I can spell today, number maintenance. And number maintenance now has 2 parts. Originally, it only had 1. This record said, here's the prefix, here's the number, I'm counting up, and instead of saying 1,000, it would say 1,035. But if you take a look at, say, incident as my prefix, and click into that, it starts counting at 10,000. There is a separate record for the actual counterpart. This is a base. And this is the way we keep cloning or imports or that definition when you promote, say, an update set. You define a new table, you say I want to use auto numbering. This part comes along with the application in the update set, in the scoped app, whatever you want to call it. This part does not. This is the actual part that says, hey, I'm on record 10,048. Because if you brought that along with the update set and say you got into prod, all of a sudden you've got counters that are starting at a point where you didn't want. And we always had to remember, I remember this, when you promoted a number, you had to remember to reset that number either before you saved your update set or after you committed it. And it was just kind of a weird thing. So we separated the counting part from the definition part. That was a bit of random obscure knowledge, but some of you watch for that. Where was I going? It is a quarter to the hour. There is something I want to do from the links last night. We do have a webinar coming up. I forgot to mention this in the events earlier. This was in the announcement. If you logged into the community this morning, you may have seen this. There is a webinar today in just a few hours, 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. That's an interesting way to list that. So what would that be? 9 a.m. So just over 2 hours from now, you can get a webinar all about communities. Very meta, talking about communities on the community. But this is part of our customer service management application. It's been in for a couple of releases. We are, of course, using this on ServiceNow in our community right here, right now. Bit of, and also wanted to reply to somebody about the loaner request system that I made years and years ago. I started this application when I was a customer, and this won an award at Knowledge 10 for the Innovation of the Year contest. And waiting for my browser to catch up so I can scroll. Old screenshot, very old screenshot, I know. Time to update. I did update it to a scoped app in Helsinki, and somebody way down here replied, This is originally used, I created it back when I was a customer in 2010 to, in fact, well, today happens to be my 8-year anniversary, so cool, at ServiceNow. Back in 2010, one of my service desk agents said, can ServiceNow be used to track our loaner laptops? And I said, well, why stop at laptops? Why stop at one location? We could be, in a few months, we could be loaning out mobile phones or projectors or vehicles. Who knows what people want to borrow? So we created this application, and I was able to post it onto the community way back then. And I've been keeping it up to date. And somebody said, we just bought Kingston and have the loaner request module installed on our test instance. Has anyone used this on Kingston? I need help configuring this for our loaner process. My recommendation for configuration, I don't believe I have this loaded yet. Loaner request, nope, it's not in there. So let me go to the Share Portal home. Hey, look, that's new. I have my project. I haven't really dug around on the Share Portal now that it's migrated over to the developer site. I can get the loaner request system. It's got the full details. I can upload a new version. Where's my download? don't want to update the project. Don't want the related files. I want to see what the people see. Tells you what's available in this thing. So if I wanted to see what fixed scripts are there, there's a post install script. But I want to see what the people see. Projects I'm following, create a project. Let's look for loaner request system. There we go. Last updated, oh my gosh, it's been over 4 years. That can't be right. Okay, includes guided setup for Helsinki. Ratings and reviews. Where's the download part? Post in the discussion. Oh, we lost all our discussions. They didn't come over. I don't want to download. Download version 3. Okay, don't warn me again. I accept. And I should get the update set. There it is. Update set loaner request, blah, blah, blah. Go to my personal developer instance. update sets, retrieve. Retrieved update sets. Very easy to do. Thank you very much for the well wishes. It has been an incredible 8 years. Choose the file. It's going to be somewhere in my downloads folder. Slow browser, take a drink. Downloads, downloads, come on. And if I sort those by date modified, there's my, call it H620, so I know that it was on Helsinki, and technically the internal version is 6.2. Load that. Load up. This is a little lesson in retrieving update sets from the share portal. Not too difficult. If you haven't done this before, very easy way to load applications. The share portal is a great way to get solutions, code snippets. Take a look. Service portal widgets, there's plenty of them out there. I didn't see any formal announcement, though, that the share portal had moved. It used to be, while we're waiting for that, at share.servicenow.com. Maybe there's an announcement over here. Share has moved. Okay. But if I look for loaner request system, I have it there. It had a whole bunch of discussion topics that didn't come over. It even does a redirect. How about that? I recommend using the guided setup option underneath the loaner request application menu. It will take you through the configuration step by step. This is something that we've had in the platform since Geneva. It's either Geneva or Helsinki, because obviously I used it on Helsinki. Okay, it is now loaded, and it doesn't know the application because it hasn't loaded it yet. When I go into this record and say, oh, you know what? I used to be able to do the preview and commit from there. I swear I did. Let's preview that. There is an option that was added to Kingston, and I haven't turned this on. It's a property that says, do you want to auto preview when things come in, so that you're going to do it anyway, right? What update set have you imported that you haven't previewed? When I was a kid, years and years ago, we didn't have a preview option. You loaded an update set and then you committed it. It didn't tell you if there were errors until you committed it, and then there were problems. Okay, so I don't have any issues. Let's commit it. It's nice to know that my update set is still clean. Let's find out. Something tells me that I might find an issue and have to go to work and do an update on this for Kingston. Because if you don't update it every 3 or 4 releases, who knows? But if you write things right, this is a testament to using best practices. Your upgrades are a lot more seamless. If you use the technical best practices, such as I did in this, okay, I did a few crazy things like figure out how to use guided setup. Your application will be, it'll remain robust, it'll work, no problems. So, stuck on 93%. Let's go, there we go. Come on. Committing. It's adding a few things to the CMDB, does some examples. And if I remember right, let me go back to the developer site. Where's my cursor? On a request. There it is. Release notes. I thought I had a note in here that said, hey, don't forget you need to run this fix script. Did that not make it over as well? Dang, I might have to update that. That could be a painful data point if somebody misses that. That's our discussion. 98%, still going. It's the suspense. Can we get this loaded and show you what I'm talking about before the top of the hour when I have to go? We'll find out. At least the status bar now tells you a little bit more information than it used to. Yay! 99%. Riveting stuff, isn't it? Watching status bars. What do you do while status bars go? All right, well, that's done. That was my one message that I had from the inbox, but I'm going to open it up just in case that thing got a reply while we were talking about something else. It did. We got several replies. Create a new call on notification. Somebody replied to that. I said, hey, you can turn that off for just one. And they said, thanks for the response. However, here I don't want to omit them globally. I only want to use them in case. I wrote ABC Help Desk. This message was skipped by the call module. I didn't create a new call during having... I'm going to have to get back to that one because we're in the middle of a load. Done. Okay, so this is closed. It's now committed. And if I refresh that window, I should have my loaner application. Loaner request, and in there is guided setup. And it looks very much like the ITSM or the ITOM or other guided setups that you've seen. You say get started, and it says here's your basic setup. Run the fix script. I don't need the note in there. So click run the fix script, and it says go to the fix script. Last visited 2 years ago. And when I'm done, I can do that. So let's go to fix script. I didn't really give good details on what exactly you're supposed to do. In the pop-up window that appears, scroll down to related links and click run fix script. Let's click configure on that. Should get a pop-up. Go down to the related links and say run the fix script. Proceed. All right, that's pretty much as good as it gets. And then I can mark this as complete. And it moves on to the next step in guided setup. So check that one off. Guided setup. I really wish guided setup were available to admins in a more friendly way to configure it. Because imagine every application you get having one of these. There's no more question about how do I set this up. It's fully instructional driven. So that I've been asking for from the platform team for a while. We just got new leadership in the upper echelons of the platform team, so maybe it'll happen. Seemed like a great idea at the time, but so far it's only accessible to ServiceNow developers. And I mean our internal people. Second is you would configure the depots, so you need to update your choice list. This is pretty easy. Of course, it says you're in the global scope. Let's go to the loaner request scope. And then you can edit this list. Ding. If you don't want Atlanta, Chicago, London, San Diego, and Sydney, put your own choices in there. And I can choose to skip that configuration. It doesn't mark it off, but it has this cute little icon that says, okay, you skipped it. We're going to come back later if you want to do that. I can always activate it. And you continue to walk through this configuration step by step. You do that. Once you've done the basic setup, you go into configuring your item types. I have laptops, I have phones, I have projectors, or I have vehicles and projectors. I don't have any laptops. You can configure the update the navigation modules, and from there, it brings you to users would see the record producer to request an item, which of course you can put on Service Portal very, very easily with a button widget, a link, whatever you want. You just tie back to here, and in Service Portal, the record producer will be rendered. So that's the loaner request system that I built and maintained for several years. It probably could use a refresh. I think I have a home page to probably be converted into a dashboard. I don't know, be kind of fun, but it tells you some basic information about what tasks do I have, because some loaner requests, the workflow may generate, I do provide one workflow with that as an example, and they may generate tasks. Before you can lend a vehicle out, it needs an approval, or you need to do maintenance on it every periodically, and it's time to do those tasks. So you can use this to assign those tasks to specific people, and then they can keep track of what, because it's extending the task table, it's going to show up on my work and all those other things that are reporting on the task table. Location, all that fun stuff. So it was a fun application to build, very good educational system. And again, if you've taken the application creation course from ServiceNow in the past, you're probably familiar with this. This is what you build in the labs, or a close approximation of it. It is the top of the hour, and I have done as much as I can do, and I've got more to do for the rest of the day. I appreciate you joining me. Thank you for hanging out for a while. I hope you found something helpful. If you have, click the like button. If I mentioned anything that was at least somewhat useful, whether it be watermarks or update sets or choice lists, click that like button and subscribe to the channel so you find out more, not just community content, but or not just the community live stream content that I do, but many, many other videos that the community puts out on HR and CSM, and I encourage you to check out that webinar on communities today. It might be useful for your organization. If you're looking into customer service management, that is a powerful addition to add. As you can tell, communities are working because I do this every day for fun. That's right, for fun, and you guys make it very fun. Thank you for joining me. I will talk to you tomorrow. Until then, be sure if you learned something to share it, and it will help others. Take care. I'm going to fade away now. Bye.